Hello, happy, healthy humans. Okay, so I just wanted to talk about the appointment that I just had and how we can better advocate for ourselves in healthcare situations. So the reason this came up today was not because it was a bad experience, because it was a good experience, and because it was a good experience, I felt lucky. Now, think about that for a second. When you are treated like a human being, someone answers your questions about your health concern, whatever it may be, and treats you with respect and doesn't act like you're in the way, that should not be something that I feel lucky to be treated like. That should be the bare minimum expectation for any sort of provider-patient interaction. And the reason it stood out to me as being excellent, which shout out, by the way, to Cox Hospital's Halston Cancer Center, floor 3, the breast cancer floor, for how wonderfully my appointment went today. Or as wonderful as a mammogram could go. I am cancer-free, since I did say cancer center. I am cancer-free. However, I am dense tissue high risk with a cyst. I found out that is why lumpy lefty over here is painful, like all the time. Most likely, anyway. But I was able to get that answer because after they did all of my imaging, got the results, gave me the results in a private location, so not everyone else can hear what my results were. She said, "Do you have any questions?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "First and foremost, it's obviously wonderful that I don't have cancer. That's what everyone wants to hear." I said, "However, why does it hurt all the time?" And simply because it was imaging and there are a lot of factors that can go into it, her answer was ultimately, "Well, we can't pinpoint that today. However, here are some of the reasons." And she explained some, talked to me about what some of the different reasons possibly could be, and then gave me a little info packet on different things like supplements, herbs, DIY, like hot and cold pack kind of things that you can do at home to alleviate that kind of that pain. And the reason this stood out as, wow, this is awesome, is because the appointment that I had down in New Orleans before I moved up here was the complete opposite. I was just a number, and they were crossing my name off the list, and they thought it was absurd that I even came in for imaging at all. Now, family history of breast cancer, started getting mammograms when I was 28, and dense tissue, high risk, pain, the pain that I discovered was when I was putting on deodorant, which made me nervous about my lymph nodes because of where they are. So that, like, all you need is one of those to have, or just, in general, just want a wellness check. But as far as breast cancer goes, having one of those concerns is valid enough. When you have all of those concerns and you show up and start asking questions after you've been very patient with how rude and hateful everyone's been at the clinic, and then you ask questions and they look at you like, why are you here? Why does any of this matter? And then when you start asking more detailed questions and pointing out that they're being very dismissive and invalidating and unprofessional, it just gets worse. Which was not really shocking because I study this kind of stuff. I work around this kind of stuff. So, like, I wasn't surprised, but I was frustrated on a personal level. So, like, intellectually, I understand that this happens a lot, but that doesn't make it any less irritating, and it also doesn't make it right. So the experience that I had prior to New Orleans was when I was in upstate New York, and it was the Albany Stratton VA Women's Clinic. So shout out to them also. I think they're actually number 2 in the nation. That clinic is wonderful. They were very professional, very helpful, very informative, very patient. And the fact that I had this really crap experience, like, sandwich between these good ones, I'm glad that the good ones are the bread of the sandwich. But having those experiences personally, hearing about those experiences professionally, and studying those types of experiences, disparities, inequities academically, I just wanted to come on here, share my personal experience, so it's not just, somebody talking about something that they have never personally dealt with, but especially if you are a member of the LGBTQIA2S plus community, the BIPOC community, if you're a woman, if you are trans women, are women, BT dubs, if you are, and as far as breast cancer goes, if you're a man, that's actually one scenario in which men might have to advocate for themselves a little bit more, which is kind of ironic. I digress. But if you're a member of any of those communities, if you are a member of the larger body community, whether you are fat or just big, and when I say fat, I mean fat in the empowering, reclaimed, this is a word that I'm embracing instead of letting it be a stigmatizing thing attached to my health. That, when I say fat, that's what I mean. If you're a member of any of those communities, you're probably going to have to advocate for yourself a lot more in these situations. And obviously there are a lot of things that go into this: socioeconomic status, your insurance provider, your location, your transportation situation, your understanding of the medical field. There's a lot of things that go into it that make advocating sometimes seem like it's not always going to be helpful. And I'm not saying advocate for yourself in a positive vibes only, like if you speak good into existence, things will just get better for you. No, that's not how life works. People who think like that need help in a lot of ways. I'm just putting that out there so that way you know that this is not just if you talk about things getting better, they will get better. Advocating for yourself is not easy. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. Sometimes it can make you feel guilt. Sometimes it can make you feel fear. Sometimes it can make you feel uncertainty. But the way I see it is when you walk into an appointment to see your provider and you immediately feel gaslit just by being there, that's not a good fit. And if it is possible for you, ask to switch providers. Ask if you can go to a different clinic. Ask for a second opinion. You could even try telling your provider, like, hey, I'm not understanding the information that you're giving me. Can you give me a few more details? And then ask follow-up questions. That's literally their job, is to take care of you. Why people feel like just because they're a professional means that they're allowed to gatekeep information about our health, that's not how that works. But it's how a lot of situations play out, because people feel like because the doctor is the expert or claimed expert, depending on which doctor you're seeing, in that situation, means that you don't have the right to ask questions. And that's simply not true. It's your body. You have the right to ask questions. You have the right to ask for a second opinion, to say, I understand that's your advice, but something about this just feels wrong. And take your time and think about it. It is completely fine to stand up for yourself in any situation, but especially in provider-patient situations where there's not a mutual respect and there's not professional and helpful communication. So, and like I said, advocating for yourself is easier said than done, but I wanted to come on here and try to empower people like me who are members of various communities that typically face disparities, and just let you know, like, you're not alone. And just because you're used to something doesn't make it right. So just because you're used to going to a crap doctor who acts like they don't care about you and possibly doesn't care about you, and you never get information, just because that's what has become normal to you and regular, doesn't mean that's what you deserve. You deserve far better. And like I said, it's unfortunate that this is a discussion that we have to have, but we do. And no matter how uncomfortable it is, I hope you're able to advocate for yourself, even if it's a very, very small gesture, even if it's just in this minuscule way that doesn't feel like a big deal. It could make a world of difference. You never know. So if something just feels off, something feels wrong, something feels uncomfortable about the provider-patient interaction that you're having, speak up, say something. If it's not to the doctor, talk to the front desk about, hey, is there another provider in this clinic that I could see? Or talk to your insurance about different clinics you could go to and see if maybe there's a better provider around. It's not an easy task, but it's doable. And I just, like I said, I wanted to come on here to hopefully empower you to understand that you're allowed to do those things. You're allowed to speak up, stand up for yourself, advocate for yourself, and expect better. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you have questions, I'm not sure how I can help, but if you have questions, post them below, because you're not alone. There's a lot of us that experience this, and I feel like the more we collaborate and the more we share and the more we talk about these kinds of things, potentially change could happen in the future. Even if it's just for a small community or an individual, or, maybe across the board. Long term. Gotta keep the eye on the prize, right? So, but yeah, just remember that it's your health, it's your body, it's your mind. It's you. It's up to you to stand up for you, because nobody else is going to do it. And unfortunately, there are a lot of doctors out there that just dismiss their patients, and that's unacceptable, plain and simple. So remember that the next time you start to feel like, something's off, I don't like this, I'm not understanding this, whatever the case may be, speak up, say something. It may be uncomfortable, but, as the late RIP, RBG said, speak your mind even if your voice shakes. And that can be applied to a lot of different situations. And for some reason, medical care is one that applies to pretty regularly. So if you have questions, there's no guarantee I can give you specific answers, but if you have questions, comments, advice, suggestions, drop them below. That's why we're here. We're creating a community to help each other out and maybe possibly make the world a better place. And if not, at least our experience is a little bit more tolerable.